Greetings to all of you, my friends, and welcome to Baarle Hertog in Belgium. No, I'm sorry. Welcome to Baarle Nassau in Holland. No, in Belgium. No, in Holland. Whoa, wait there. Welcome to Baarle Hertog and Baarle Nassau in Belgium and Holland at the same time. Yes, my friends, welcome to the city with the most confusing border in the world. Baarle is a very calm city and without much movement to the simple view, as you can see. It looks like a quite normal and typical city, but this suddenly changes just when you see these crosses. Yes, you were right, and this is an international border. On this side, you are on the Belgian side, and on this side, you are on the Dutch side. And this is Belgium or Holland. And believe it or not, this metal plate over the avenue is in both countries too. So we could say that the city of Baarle is like the home of a gigantic living puzzle. And just like this street, there are many more with these plates all along the city. Instead of a regular border, there are hundreds of these crosses throughout the entire city, which are spread everywhere. For example, look at what we have here. This is an international border. It crosses right here in the middle of this avenue and it is divided here. It gets there and has another division that way and then goes through the restaurant on that corner. That's cool. Right now I am on the Belgian side and with just 2 steps you get to the Dutch side. And you may be wondering why is all of this happening, right? And this happens because the city has 30 enclaves. There are 22 areas of Belgium surrounded by Holland and 10 Dutch areas in Belgium. I will place a small map here so you can have an idea of what this is all about. I'm going to take a little while to tell you that I know perfectly that Holland should be called by its real name, which is the Netherlands, just that most people recognize this country as Holland rather than the Netherlands. After clarifying this point, let's continue. The border passes through any place you can imagine. Houses, shops, breweries, supermarkets, you name it, the sky is the limit. And this means that there are 2 things of almost everything. For example, 2 churches. And this one right here is the one on the Dutch side. And a few meters away, there is the Belgian church right behind me. And as you can see right here is the Dutch. That's very, very close. This also means there are 2 postal services, and as you can see here, the houses are also identified with a little flag, which helps you know to which of both countries they belong. This is on the Belgian side. And just a few meters up front, we have the Dutch side. Look at this house, for example, which has a little Dutch flag and a mailbox as well for letters of the Dutch Postal Service. And obviously there are post office boxes of each country, and this one, for example, is on the Dutch side. And just a few meters from the one we just watched a moment ago, we can see Dutch ones. This one right here is a Belgian post box. Another thing that impresses me about this city, besides the borders and the confusion, are the houses. They are spectacular. Look at that castle. It looks like, it is a house, but it looks like a small castle, right? And I am not lying about the houses, just take a look. This truck was stalled between the Belgian lake and the Dutch side. What about that? And this also implies that there are 2 bus companies, this one for the Belgian side, and right next to it for the Dutch side, as we can see. Here you can see another example of the 2 bus companies. This is one, and right there is the other. They also have 2 local police departments, one for Holland and another one for Belgium. And there is something quite particular about this place, and it is that in this city there are 2 legal ages for drinking. For the Dutch side, which is where I'm currently at, the allowed drinking age is 18. But if we move a few steps, or should I say stretch my arm just a little, from the Holland side to the Belgium side, you can drink beer from the age of 16, since that is permitted in Belgium and this is Holland. But since I don't drink beer, cheers. And yes, friends, if you were thinking about it, you thought well. And there are 2 town halls. This one I have here is the town hall for Baarle Nassau. And this city hall right here has a meeting room where the border crosses half of the room so that the 2 politicians, the 2 mayors of this city, can agree on their decisions to maintain the city in order. And the strangest thing of all is that everything that I have mentioned exists for less than 10,000 citizens who live in this city. Then you may be wondering, how did the city get into all of this confusion? Well, that really has to do with the past, specifically in the 12th century when a duke decided to give part of his lands to another lord in exchange for receiving protection, and this led to the duke having some Dutch lands while the lord was going to give protection to him as an exchange for Belgian lands. And so this strange situation emerged and continues until today, and it was only until 1995 that the border was definitely determined. And since 1995, both of them exist as they are today. Here we can say many interesting facts. Here are people who work on the Dutch side and live in Belgium, just a few meters from their work. Look friends, this map is at the tourist office here in Baarle, and they give you a little flag to place where you come from. And I will be the first one to place a little flag here in Miratal, Maracay, Venezuela. And actually, I am the first person here because these two are from islands above Venezuela, but nobody has come from Venezuela yet. They also leave a notebook here for you to write the date and where you come from. I am going to place here August 6, 2019. I'm going to place Maracay, Venezuela. I wonder what happens in places where the border passes in the middle of the street whenever a car accident or a crash happens. What law applies? Might it be depending on which side of the border is the car at? I know many will be wondering, how do people find out which side of the border is their house on if the border crosses it? And that is something I've been wondering all of the time I've been in town, and it creates a great confusion. Well, for this problem, they have the front door rule. The front door rule says that wherever the front door of the house is, that is actually what defines the country to which a house belongs, either on the Belgium side or on the Dutch side. But at the same time, this generates a very big question. What happens with houses where the border crosses just right the middle of the front door? In that case, it is allowed for people who are living in that house to take a decision and choose between both countries. And this is the example we're going to see next. Look at this house. This is an excellent example of a house where the border crosses right in the middle of the door. It has the Dutch flag and the Belgian flag. The border goes right in the middle of the door, and it also has an ID for each country. The Dutch side with the number 19 and the Belgian side with the number 2. It is already difficult having to pay taxes in one country. Now imagine having to pay them in two countries, having two water services, two electric companies, two postal services, two services of each. Imagine that confusion right in this house. And from this law of the door, something very interesting happens. And it is that where you decide that the door is, which you can sure move from place to place, will define whether you are on the Belgian or on the Dutch side. You can choose which side to live on, taking advantage of the tax laws that are best for you. As you can see, this house is very busy. They have tourists here, tourists there, tourists right there, and tourists behind. Please leave your comments in the section below and tell me what has impressed you the most of this city, and I'll be reading them. This is a good example. This is a house on the Belgian side, and the front door of this house is right here, so this house is on the Belgian side, although this one right here is on the Dutch side. A curious way to know which side each house belongs to, apart from the little number, is to see what type of construction it has. Those on the Dutch side have a similar construction, while the Belgian side does not have such a strict rule with the shape of houses. See that all of those houses are Dutch. They are all the same. And this situation does not only happen in houses. For example, in this gallery, the border passes right in the middle. For instance, the border goes through the middle of the door, and now let's take a look inside. I don't know if you can see it on the floor, but in the case of this gallery, the owner chose that the shop would be on the Belgian side because her company was already Belgian, because she lived in Belgium, and when she moved to the city, the easiest thing to do was to continue being part of Belgium. Look at this particular stool in which you can sit on both countries at the same time because the border goes right through it. So you are on Belgium on one side and on Holland on the other side. See my friends, this was the souvenir I bought for my fridge. You know I collect these from every place I go, and this one is from Baarle Nassau and Baarle Hertog. This is the sign from when you are entering the city, and it looks quite similar. And there are obviously stores as rare as these, where one side of the store belongs to Holland and the other side of the store to Belgium. This is the first time that I see a store like this, and I think that just a few people know stores of this kind. Do you want to know what a supermarket is like where the border crosses the store just in the middle? Well, Stay tuned for my next video and you will know. And of course, my friends, there had to be a very special brewery, which is all of this place right behind me, where the border passes right in the middle of it, and as you can see, there are crosses everywhere, and now we are going to see what it's like inside. Which, by the way, has 600 different beers. Well, we have just entered the brewery, where you can see the border line right here, which goes through the store and all the way to the back. So yes, my friends, there is a beer store where you can buy beer in 2 countries at the same time. And this is a brewery where they have over 600 beers of all kinds. I am not kidding. So for all the lovers of beer and curiosities, this might really interest you. In case you are wondering if they ask for a passport to pass from one country to another, they really don't ask for it. There is not a typical border with security guards or any of that. And even throughout the years, that has never been the case of the city, and it is unlikely since both countries belong to the European Union. Well, my friends, standing here in the middle of the border between 2 countries, in the city with the most complex border in the world, I'm going to finally say goodbye in this video. I hope you really liked it. I bring this video to you first and others because you are the greatest and I had to visit this place to be able to bring you the best. I hope that this city serves as an example for other regions where borders are a problem. This place is a living example that reminds us that if we do things right and together, it is not necessary to divide us because the world belongs to all of us. I'm not leaving without reminding you to first subscribe to my YouTube channel and activate the notification bell so you always know when I upload a new video. Also, I invite you to follow me on Instagram, which is Gabriel Herrera _. See you in another video, my friends. Bye bye. Love you. A lot.